Hey, friends, in reading today, I wanted to talk with you about the problem in this story and how it relates to our own lives. So, you might notice that sometimes we read books that are called fantasy. Fantasy just tells us that it's something that could never really happen in real life, like the characters are from outer space, like Zots. But sometimes authors write stories that are with like fantasy elements like characters from outer space or animals that talk and wear clothes. None of those things would really happen, but the problems really happen in real life. So think back to when you read Zots Learns to Play. And I'm going to walk through the first page. So Abby and Zots are best friends, and Zots is from outer space. So maybe he doesn't understand the rules. Maybe you've had a friend or a sibling that you've tried to teach them a game and they're not following the rules. Now, is Zots trying to cheat? No, he's just doing what he can do and he doesn't know the rules. He just wants to play. Sometimes siblings can be like that too, especially like when they're little siblings. I know at my house, I'm making a connection to myself. My 3-year-old always wants to play with her 5-year-old sister and her 9-year-old brother, but the 3-year-old doesn't understand all the rules to the games, but she just wants to play. She's not trying to break the rules and she's not trying to be a bad friend. She just doesn't understand. And that's kind of how Zots is. Now, Zots is going to play with them and they play tag, but what's the problem? He has so many hands, he can take everybody, right? They don't like that because, you know how they feel. It's like when you're playing a game and someone's breaking the rules, it can be frustrating. But they talk about it. They use their words, and she says, that's against the rules. Only touch one person. He's like, oh, see his face? He's like, I didn't mean to. It's important that we pay attention to the pictures in our stories, too, because the pictures tell us so much more. They play baseball. Zots swings the bats. What's the problem with that? Well, it's not fair if he gets to swing 5 bats or 6 bats. How many bats does he have? How many arms? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Woo. I bet he has a better chance of hitting the ball if he gets to swing 7 bats. But that's against the rules. Only swing 1 bat. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. They're playing cards. But what are all his eyes doing? They're peeking at the other cards. Does he know that's against the rules? No. He's just using his body to play the game. His body is different than theirs. But that's against the rules. Only look at your cards, she says. She's like, you have a lot of rules. You have great ways of breaking them, the kids say. Let's create new rules for Zots, Abby says. So it looks like in this part they're playing tag with cards and baseball. I don't know what they're doing, but it looks like maybe they made up a new game that he can play without having to feel like he's breaking the rules. So I want you to think about this and maybe talk with someone at home. I'm not going to make you send me like a seesaw message, but talk about why it's important to follow the rules when we play games and how it feels when others break the rules of a game. Or even maybe you've broken the rules before in a game. Or how can you make sure that we're all playing fair? Okay? So boys and girls, I really want you to understand that there's always a message to stories like this. Even if they're characters that couldn't really happen, like aliens or animals that talk, what happens in the story can teach us something about our lives, even though it's with characters that we wouldn't really see. Okay? Thank you, boys and girls.